Okay, short video about near-death experience. I've had somebody ask me about it again, and he wanted to know, because I wrote in my note, I said that I'm not completely closed off to the idea of the fact that there might be, or the possibility, I shouldn't say fact, the possibility that there might be something after we croak. I'm not completely closed off, because I try to have an open mind. That hasn't been proven to be true, hasn't been proven to not be true. It's kind of like God, you know? It's like, you know, you can't prove that something that doesn't exist doesn't exist. They can't prove he does exist either, probably because he doesn't exist. That's my thought. But at the same time, he's a huge question mark, kind of like purple dragons that fly around in the below the atmosphere on Jupiter. Could be. There's nothing to say that it doesn't happen, that it's not true. You know, it's not provable either way. It's, you can make up anything. You can make up any you know. There's a train that runs between actually that's a bad analogy because we can prove that that's not true. Okay, never mind. I'm going to crash a bird with this one. Okay, not every analogy is going to work. That one wasn't going to work. But the dragon. See, the dragon, they can't detect the dragon because he's invisible. Oh, so is the train. I forgot to mention that. The train that runs between the moons of Saturn, it's invisible. But only when the telescopes are pointed in its direction. I mean, there's no way to say, well, that's not true. It's like, really? Show me, prove to me that it isn't true. Really, prove to me that it isn't true. Well, I guess it must be true because you can't prove it isn't true. That's what Christians do about God. I'll prove he doesn't exist. Well, you can't prove he doesn't exist. Must mean he exists. Yeah, so I win. I win, yay God. Same kind of shit. You know, you can't prove something until you prove something. It's a huge whatever. You know, you want to believe in something for which there's no evidence. I can believe in the train. You know, or I could use my energy on something that's real, which is what I choose to do. But some people like to believe in the imaginary and force it down other people's throats and get pissy and call them names and put them down if they don't believe too. So anyway, about near-death experiences or life after death. It's one of those. In my opinion, it's one of those. It's like, well, you know, it could be true. There's nothing to show that it is. There's nothing to show that it isn't. You know, this person who wrote me was talking about somebody who is there at old folks' homes and has seen people die, and there's a big stillness in the room after they die. And you know, I had a similar experience when I've put down my pets. I've been there for my cats when I've had them put to sleep, and in a wink of an eye, they go from being a beloved animal that I love, a beloved pet, a friend, a child, to being just a dead cat. In just a wink of an eye, it's like just a dead cat. I feel loss. I feel tremendous loss because I won't have my friend with me anymore. But the little cadaver laying there on the metal table has ceased to be my friend. It has ceased to be my child, what I love. The thing that I love is no longer there. It's just a dead cat. I've been in that situation, so I can understand how being in the presence of a human who dies is very similar. You know, 1 minute there's a person there, somebody that you know their personality and the spark that makes them who they are, and the next minute they're just a dead body. And I can't imagine, you know, I've never actually been in the presence of a human when they've died. I imagine how hard that would be. I don't know if it would be harder than to lose a beloved pet. I've never had it happen. I know that I don't think the heart can distinguish between love. When it comes to love and loving somebody, I don't think the heart can distinguish between whether or not it has fur or not. I think losing a friend is difficult no matter what species they are. Losing a family member is difficult no matter what species they are. My little cat Tika was my baby. I had her for 19 years. 19 years, that's as long as having a child to adulthood. That's how long I had Tika, and it ripped my heart out. Still hurts like hell when I think about it. And I loved her so much. And I was with her when she died, and it was horribly hard. And I actually didn't see her become a cadaver, because as soon as her head came down, as soon as she was knocked out by the medication, I said, "Is she out?" He said, "Yes." I left the room. I did not want to watch her die. The hardest part was when she was purring while he was giving her the shot and the purr stopped. That was the hardest part. So yeah, it's hard to lose somebody, and the moment that they die. It's like they just transition from being the thing that you love, the person, the personality, the little entity that you love, to just being a corpse. And it's hard. Do I believe in life after death? Do I believe that little spark goes someplace? And I said, well, I'm open to the possibility that there could be life after death. And I said, there's some weird shit that's happened to me. And he wanted me to elaborate, this person who wrote to me. And I will elaborate. I've had some bizarre things happen. Besides just, I think I saw a ghost in North Dakota, or South Dakota, at my friend Ron and Jude. They owned a bed and breakfast. I guess that's what they call those. They owned a bed and breakfast in Rapid City, South Dakota, and they had a ghost in this bed and breakfast called Frank. That they're pretty sure Frank was the person who built this big 3-story house. And Frank was very much fond of Jude. Jude kept the house up, and he was very fond of her. And she and Rob both told us stories when we went there. Me and my husband at the time visited them twice, and we got to hear lots of stories about Frank. And while we were there the first time, I never had anything happen. I said to Frank, this is back when I was a Christian, I said to Frank, I called out and said, "I do not want to see you. I don't want to see you." Nothing happened. The second time we visited, it was a group of us. We were writers. We were all going to a little writers club gathering, and we were sitting at this table in the dining room. And the dining room, and then over here was the kitchen, and there was a door, of course, leading into the kitchen, and next to the door was a china hutch, a big tall china hutch. And I guess at the top was a hurricane lantern. I didn't really pay much attention to the furniture. We were sitting around the table, and while we were sitting there, actually, I'm trying to remember, we went into the kitchen to get something. I think we all went in the kitchen. I don't remember what we went in there for, but we all went in the kitchen for a little while, and then we came back and we went and sat. No, that's not how it happened. Okay, I got the story wrong. We're at the table, and it's a lighted room, and it's a hardwood floor. And I'm sitting there, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw what looked like a black ink spot. And it was very fast. It was like so fast, it's like, did I just see what I think I saw? Kind of slide across the floor to my right. And I didn't really turn around and see where it went. I just saw it slide across the floor to my right. Well, okay, so maybe 5 minutes after that, we went into the kitchen. We were in there for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. I think we just went in there to get popcorn or something Jude had fixed, something like that. Then we all came back out and sat at the dining room table again. And I remember walking through to the dining room and hearing kind of a rattling sound, and I didn't really think about it. And we sat down, and my husband, we went on with what we were doing. Anyway, the next morning we're sitting at the kitchen table, and my husband's like, so where does Frank hang out? He asked Rob, my husband at the time. Doesn't believe in ghosts. He said, where does Frank hang out? Just out of the blue. And Frank's like, well, he likes, he likes over there. And he kind of pointed toward the china hutch, which was to my right where I was sitting the night before. Behind me and to the right. He goes, that's where that's where we see him most often. And then Mark goes, well, it's just weird because when we came out of the kitchen last night, and I heard this rattle, and I looked up, and there was that hurricane lamp above the whatever was rocking back and forth, and I didn't think about it because I figured it was just the vibrations of our feet. But after we sat down, he says it kept going, and it was rocking really hard, and I was like, and then I looked at him and said, I saw just before we went to the kitchen, I told him what I saw, the black spot on the floor, and it would have been going, sliding to along my right side, which is right where, anyway. So that's one of the weird things, and that's, I used to be able to tell the story about the house in Wisconsin, but now that I know my mom has schizophrenia, I can't tell that story anymore because I'm pretty sure that was just 100% my mom's first breakdown with schizophrenia. Can't call our house in Wisconsin haunted anymore. But the thing that I saw at Rapid City, South Dakota, in that house makes me, the fact that I saw what I saw, and my husband at the time saw what he saw, and it was within maybe 10 minutes of the two things, and then Rob saying, well, yeah, over there, that's where we see, he likes that cabinet. So that was one of the weird things. When I was in high school at my commencement ceremony, and this is like one of those things where it's so long ago now, it's like, did I really see that, or is this just a story? When you tell a story enough times, and the memory of it fades, but the story, you remember the story and telling the story, but the memory of actually seeing it is so distant in the past that it's like, anyway, because I don't really remember now, but I did remember for a long time, and I told people when I was at my commencement ceremony, it was at the Key Arena in Seattle. We were down on the floor, and most of the Key Arena was empty. There was one side over here that had people, and we seniors were walking up to get our diplomas, and I remember glancing up and just a little bit to the side, and I know I said this in one of my videos, I know I've said all these same stories, so I feel like this is a huge rerun video, was my dad. And he looked like a black and white picture, and that's why it stuck out, because it didn't look like my dad. It looked like a black and white picture, which is the only thing I have of my dad is our black and white pictures. And so he looked like a black and white picture, and he was sitting apart from the rest, and it was like out of the corner of my eye kind of thing, and then look back and it's not there kind of thing. But it was clearly my dad, and it was like, and it made me, I was like, my dad was at my commencement. If he was going to be anywhere, he would be there. But then he wasn't at my wedding. Maybe that should have told me something right there about my choice in men. Okay, so that was another puzzler for me. And then the last weird things that I've had were dreams, just dreams that I've had right after I've lost beloved pets. My little white kitty, Tika's brother Rosalind, died about 9 years before Tika died. He had a wasting illness, and I honestly don't know to this day what it was. I think he might have had a thyroid problem, but the vet didn't diagnose it, and I was too incredibly stupid to not take him to another vet. Rosalind died, and I was very upset, and hair. And I remember praying very hard, asking God to show me that Rosalind was still alive. And I had a dream that night. Of course, I gave credit to God for this because I had prayed. But fast forward many years, I had a similar thing happen with Tika, and that would have been after I was a Christian. So anyway, I was very upset to lose Rosalind. And the night that he died, I had a dream. And in my dream, it was a weird dream. I came home from work, and I came through the garage, and I looked up the stairs, and there was Tika and Rosalind, my two long-haired, half-Persian white cats, and they were both looking incredibly healthy. I went upstairs and I picked up Rosalind, and he was heavy and he was healthy and his fur was shiny. And I just cuddled him and carried him around the house and took out, for some reason I went into every room in the house. And I remember the last room I went into, and I kept thinking in the back of my head, there's something wrong with this. Something's wrong with this. And kind of as I'm doing this more and more and more, it's starting to dawn on me that Rosalind isn't supposed to be there. Anyway, the last room I went into was my exercise room, where Rosalind used to sit on the bed and watch me exercise. And I walked into the room and there was kind of like this swirling fog, whatever. Half the room was obscured by this swirling fog. And I'm walking to the room and Rosalind's struggling to get down. And I put him down and he starts walking in the fog. And then I hear a voice, kind of a masculine voice, say, "Rosalind, let her go." And he walked into the fog. And I woke up and I felt really, I just felt so happy, because I'm like, oh, he's still somewhere, you know? And the thing that's really has always struck me odd about that dream is it was my dream. And yet the voice didn't talk to me. The voice talked to him. The voice said to him, my cat, "Rosalind, let her go." In fact, called him by name and said that, which makes me, it's like, you know, and my explanation for that at the time was, he came back. He came back. Somebody, whoever takes care of cats in heaven, let him come back to say goodbye. You know, it was his little visit. He had so much time that he could spend with me, and then he was called back. And it was just a really cool dream. It was a really cool dream, and it made me feel really good. And then fast forward 10 years, when Tika died, I never prayed, I want to see her one more time. I didn't pray. But I had 2 Tika sightings after she died. The day she died, that night, I remember it was weird. It was like, I blinked and it was like her face was right up here, right? So her eyes were like, I opened my eyes and it was like her eyes were looking right into my eyes, and her face was point blank. All I saw was her nose and her eyes right here. And then I blinked again and it was gone. Like she was looking me in the face really close up, and I blinked and it was gone. Like, you know, and then it's like, was I awake? Was it a dream? You know, it was like weird. I've never had a dream like that ever, you know. Neither did I ever have a dream like Rosalind, that thing with Rosalind, because it was crystal clear. It was the most vivid dream. It was like it was really happening. It was so vivid, the dream with Rosalind. Well, the thing with Tika wasn't super vivid. It was too fast for me to really grasp how vivid it was. It was just a blink, but it was like, I've never had a dream like that, ever. And then the next night, I had another dream where I was down here in the living room, and Tika comes out of the kitchen, and she just walks leisurely by, her tail's kind of waving in the air, and I'm like, Tika, and I kind of get up like I want to follow her, like I want to pet her, and she's just kind of going a little too fast for me to touch her, and she walks, and Tika and Rosalind were both declawed cats. This was back when I didn't know any better, and I will never do that again to any other animal. But they were both declawed. And so she never really got to go outside except on a harness and leash. I put them out on tethers so they could be outside. And she just kind of nonchalantly walked out the door. She kind of had this attitude like, I have places to go. And she walked out the door. And that was the second dream. And I didn't have any after that. So those were the other things, the dreams, the visitations. This is what I thought. Because I always thought that if there's such a thing as a soul, animals have them just the same as people. So, do I believe in life after death? I don't completely close the door because of these things that have happened to me. The movie What Dreams May Come is, in my opinion, is close to what I think the afterlife would be like if there was such a thing. That's what I think it would be like. I think it would be kind of like a continuation of your life. If you're a sad, miserable, depressed person, you're likely going to be in a place like the poor woman in that movie was, you know. I know I don't believe in bad things happening to people who commit suicide. I think, you know, people commit suicide are ill. And suicide is a symptom of an illness. It's not their fault. So people who say, well, suicide is the ultimate sin and you're going to go to hell if you kill yourself, that's bullshit. I'm sorry, you're sick. You're mentally ill. Suicide is like, a sneeze is when you have the flu. That's what suicide is when you're extremely depressed. It's a symptom of an illness, and if there was a God, I highly doubt he would punish somebody for having an illness. I believe that even when I was a Christian, I did not believe that people who killed themselves ended up in hell. So what dreams may come, as much as I like the idea of how they portray heaven in that movie, I don't agree with a lot of it. I don't believe in reincarnation, and I don't believe in, what am I thinking of, people going to hell for killing themselves. I'm sorry, I don't really believe in a hell. I think that everybody, if there's a place after we die, which again, I don't really believe there is, but people say atheists don't believe in anything. That's complete bullshit. We have complete, we're just as complete human beings as every other human, and yeah, we entertain thoughts about stuff. We ponder the big questions, We might not believe in a God, but we think about stuff like this, Everybody's different. Everybody's going to think about different things and have different takes on everything. This is my take on stuff. Atheists believe in shit too. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, I think if there's an afterlife, everybody goes there. It's not like, only the Christians get to go to the nice, happy place. No. If there's an afterlife, everybody goes. Doesn't matter what you believe, or if you don't believe, everybody goes. And you take whatever you have in this world, whatever good, bad, whatever, you take that with you. If you're a mean, horrible, nasty person, guess what? Your afterlife is going to reflect that. If you're a nice, happy person, if you care about people, your afterlife is going to reflect that. If you're an artist, I love the way that the heaven is portrayed in What Dreams May Come with the artist. The little girl when she dies, her heaven is kind of like this thing that she had in her bedroom with flying fairies and boats and stuff. It's just a really cool movie. But anyway, that's what I think. I think that if there's such a place, then it's just a place that everybody goes no matter what you believe. And which makes me feel like I feel sorry for these Christians who jump through all these stupid hoops because of this imaginary God of theirs. It's probably, if there's a place after death, they're going to go there whatever. Do I really believe there is? No. I really don't. But the things that have happened to me, the things with my cats and the little whatever, gives me pause, makes me think, And I like to think that my babies are somewhere. I like to think that when Tika died, she met up with her brother. My two little white kitties. When they were young and they would run up the stairs, they looked like a little team of horses. They were so pretty, really pretty cats. And all my animals I love dearly. I like to think that they are going someplace, that they're not just going to disappear into the ether when they die. And same with my dad, and my mom soon. I love my family. I do care about people. I was accused of not caring about people. I do care about people. I also care about me, and I'm doing what's right for me right now. And fuck whoever wants to criticize me for that. So yeah, that's my take on it. There's no way to prove anything. There's no way to prove it's true. There's no way to prove it isn't true. And it's kind of fun to think about. And when I die, I'll find out for sure. Either I will cease to exist, and I'm okay with that, or I won't. But I am okay with the idea of ceasing to exist. See, I used to be really afraid of death, and I'm not anymore. I used to think that I wanted to live forever. I don't anymore. See, I think that a normal lifetime is plenty enough time to live. And, quality is better than quantity. So, but those are just, if there is an afterlife, I hope it's a place like, where you can explore other worlds and check out really cool places and stuff. That's what I hope it's like. I hope it's not sitting around an egotistical deity who's going, ew, give me more, give me more, give me more, which is what I think the Christian idea of heaven is. It's just nasty, Not my idea of heaven. Sounds like I think I'd be bored to tears in a matter of a day being in that heaven. So that's my thoughts. As for near-death experiences, I really don't think so. I don't believe so. If somebody says, well, I died and I saw this beautiful place, that would be more believable. But the reason I don't think I believe in near-death is they always talk about angels and Jesus and all this organized religion bullshit that's man-made bullshit. And I don't believe that, I think that's, well, if you have beliefs and you are hallucinating, naturally your hallucinations will match whatever your beliefs are, And if you have something like, well, atheist dies and sees Jesus and becomes a Christian, that's somebody who's out for the sensationalism and wants to get their name and whatever. Or Hindu is healed by Jesus and becomes a Christian. I saw something like that too. Hello? No, I don't believe in that bullshit. I believe that's somebody trying to get attention or make some money or whatever. Get a little moment of fame. By coming up with a story. I think a lot of it's bullshit that people make up, So that's just my thought about near-death experience. I think 99% of it's bullshit. Maybe there might be one or two somewhere where somebody really does see something, but I still think it's probably bullshit, But, one day we'll all find out. And I feel bad for Christians. If it's true that we cease to exist when we die, I think it's a sad thing that they didn't get to know themselves fully because they were so busy being their idea of what they think Jesus wants them to be. That's what I did. And I really didn't get to know myself until I started living for me. And that's what Christians don't want to do. They don't want to live for themselves. They want to surrender their lives to Jesus and let Jesus live through them. It's like, what? That's all fine and well, but if this is your only life, what a loss. What a loss for you. Not me. I want to find out who I am. I want to experience every day. I want to make a difference. I hope to make a difference, a good positive difference somehow in my life with my life. That's why I make videos, because I think what happened to me was a really good thing. And I thank my friends for helping me get there. And I hope that, if I can't help somebody who has depression with my depression videos, I hope to help somebody who is feeling really bad because they can't believe, and maybe I can help give them the understanding that it's okay to be an atheist. It's okay. You're not a bad person. Honesty, being honest about, just being honest, that's all that matters. And that's what I finally did. I was honest, So that's all. Really long video. Wasn't supposed to get this long. I just wanted to address some of the things that this guy asked me, because otherwise I'd have to write a really long note, a bunch of them, to him. And I just thought I'd rehash the near-death experience / afterlife topic and say what I think. So if you've been watching, thanks. Bye.